Hi, my name is Richard from Richard Language and from the Loving Language blog, and I wanted to talk a little bit about a really important concept for me, and I call it ecolinguism. It's about looking at languages in your community. It's about looking at the languages that are spoken around you. A lot of people, when they want to learn a language, they look for an economic gain. They look at how they can make more money. They look at how they can gain from learning the language, better job, more money, economic. But one of the things that happens is a lot of times people who are economically weaker get left out of this equation. So, for example, someone may choose to learn Mandarin Chinese, but then the people who speak other dialects in China get left behind. Or people who want to learn Spanish and go to Latin America to learn Spanish. Many times the other languages that are spoken by indigenous people get forgotten. I spoke to a person from Brazil one time, and he was saying, oh, it's so hard to learn languages in Brazil. Everyone speaks Portuguese, and really they don't speak any other language. And I said, they don't speak any other language. Brazil is one of the most linguistically diverse countries on the planet. What about all those indigenous languages you have there? Like, oh yeah, I guess so. And they forget about those other languages that are being spoken. Or people talk about in the United States. The United States is such a monolingual country, and everyone speaks English and no one speaks a foreign language. And I always tell them, no, 20% of Americans speak a language besides English at home. I live in Minnesota, which one does not think of as terribly ethnically diverse or linguistically diverse, for that matter. Yet at the same time, when you walk through downtown Minneapolis, you're bound to hear Spanish and Somali and Vietnamese and Hmong and Chinese and Amharic, Oromo, all these languages all the time. These are languages that are commonly spoken here. But how many people actually take the time to look at the whole ecosystem of languages where they live? A lot of times our ears are tuned to the languages that we know, but the languages we don't know, we don't hear them. We don't take note of them. We might not even know what they're called. So the thing that I think is really important is to really take note of what are the languages being spoken around you. What are you hearing? Is your town really as monolingual as you think? Because what I found is there are all kinds of languages being spoken. In my area, people from all over India live. And so when I meet Indians, I say, where are you from? They say, why are you asking? And I say, oh, I'm interested in knowing more about India. They're like, oh, have you traveled there? I'm like, no, I only know geography because I talk to them when they're here in my town. I ask people where they're from. I'm curious about what my community actually sounds like. And I want to hear what those languages are. And so the challenge I have for people is listen to the languages spoken around you. Don't immediately jump to a well-known language when you want to learn a language, but look to maybe a less commonly taught language. What are the languages spoken around you? Sometimes I'll talk to people from Texas. They want to learn a language. Naturally, they want to learn Spanish. That's what's spoken around them all the time. I mean, it's right on the border of Mexico, and a lot of Mexicans have lived there as long as there have been Mexicans. But when I talk to them, I say, hey, do you know what the third most widely spoken language in Texas is? Vietnamese. English, Spanish, and then Vietnamese. Have you ever thought of learning Vietnamese? Or in California, oh, I want to learn Spanish. Naturally, you want to learn Spanish. Very helpful for you. That's exactly what that's what your community sounds like. But the third most widely spoken language in California? Tagalog, from the Philippines. Did you ever think of learning that? How interesting would it be if you went up to your Filipino neighbors and all of a sudden started speaking Tagalog with them, who speak English and Spanish probably, and they would be amazed. And this is what I found. When you make the effort to learn the languages of the people in your community, you actually foster fantastic relationships in your community. So much goodwill when people see that someone who could get by completely in English decide to learn some of another language. Decide to connect with them. Decide to speak a language that speaks to their heart, speaks to their native language, their mother tongue, And you can make connections with them, the people who live right next door to you, the people who live right in your neighborhood, the people who work at the shops where you go, anywhere. You ride the bus with them. So think about it. Think about the ecosystem of languages in your community. Think about how you can foster better relationships with those in your community. And I'm positive that it will help you have a wonderful experience with your neighbors. They will smile. They'll be happy that you made the effort. If you don't know a single word of their language, ask them for a word. Say, next time I see you, how do I say hello? Ask them how to say that. And all of a sudden, you will have opened up a new door for communication, a new door for deepening relationships in your community by taking advantage of the linguistic diversity that's all around you.